Welcome everybody, Rusty Albertson, the Director of Communications at St. Mark the Evangelist Catholic Church. We are here with our Candles video again. A special guest today, one of our longtime favorite, Director of Music Ministry, Andy Eagan. Andy, how are you?
Good. It's nice to, see everybody.
Yeah, well, I was listening to you and the choirs, and we appreciate everything you do, but I want to get a little bit of a chance today to maybe explain some of the ministries that you have here in the music ministries, different age groups and so forth, so everybody can hear that from you.
Yeah, we've got probably our largest choir is our adult choir. It's one of the largest church choirs in the city, and we meet once a week at 7:30 on Thursday nights, and we sing twice a month. We've got about, last night's rehearsal, we had 35 people.
Awesome.
Typically we have between 30 and 40 in our adult choir. And then going all the way to the other end is our children's choir. And we've got right about 30 kids in the children's choir. It's 5th grade through 8th grade. We've got kids mostly from here in the school, but any kid, any family of the parish that would like to have their children in our children's choir are welcome to. And again, it's 5th through 8th grade. And in the last 2 years, Mrs. Bruner has taken over directing of the children's choir, which is great because she can scold the kids if they miss rehearsal the next day at school. So she has that connection. It's worked out really well. I did it for 10 years, and Tina made it grow within 2 years, and is just doing a fantastic job. And then our other choirs we have seasonal. We have a men's choir, and it's right about 25 men. It's high school and older. We sing just twice a year around Thanksgiving, and then we will sing, again throughout it. Usually if there's a fifth Sunday, I might see if we can have our men's choir sing, but for sure on Thanksgiving.
Do they sing the Easter season too?
I have had them Easter season and different things, but like I say, I try not to tie it down because but it is a way that adult men of the parish can participate in the music ministry, but not have a huge commitment.
Right.
The adult choir is a big commitment. I don't expect everybody to be there every Thursday. We have nurses, that have schedules that flotate. We have one gentleman who's a fireman who's 24 on, 48 off, so he can't always make it. But by having so many people, and their dedication is just wonderful. Last night's rehearsal was great. I'm exhausted, but it's a good group. We also have a funeral choir, which is they don't actually sing like music as a choir, but they're here at every funeral to help the family. It's especially wonderful for families where the deceased and immediate family might be Catholic, but all their friends aren't.
Right.
The funeral choir helps with responses and with singing, and it really it helps Father too when he's doing Mass to have that kind of response, and it's such a wonderful choir.
It's comforting for them. I've been to several funerals where it just feels like that, it's kind of like they're wrapping their arms around him as they're singing. It's really neat.
Yeah, and then another choir we have is also a regular choir, is Bell Choir, which Lindsay Horty directs that, and it was brought to us. I believe she may have been at St. Barnabas with their Bell Choir at one time, but either way, we were able to buy the equipment, and she supplied the actual bells, and it's about 12, I think 11 or 12, and they meet once a week. It's very difficult. And they do just a fantastic job, but it's another way for other people to participate in our music ministry here at St. Mark.
And the way that they can bring those songs together with those, it's truly a team effort to watch that.
Oh yeah, you can't
Can't mess up.
Yeah, if somebody's missing and they have two notes, it's hard work. And like I say, Lindsay does a great job. They all do a great job, so let's see what else I have.
You had the Save the Best for Last Year ensemble.
Yeah, I have the ensemble, and the ensemble has been together for almost 2 or 3 decades now.
Is it pretty much the same group of people, or do you?
It's pretty much the same core, but if somebody can't make it, I'll have another person come in.
Right.
But we have really the core group of vocalists, and have been sung together, and it's a way to do some different kinds of music. Some of it's a little more contemporary, definitely more vocal challenging. but it's things that you might not be able to do with an adult choir.
Right.
You can do with this ensemble. And then we also have a brass choir that
Right.
meets once a week, and basically I use the brass just every few times throughout the year, at Christmas, at Easter. It's really nice to have the brass instruments,
Yeah.
and it's nice.
Last weekend they did some
Yeah.
of it. It was just great.
And they're all from St. Mark Parish. They're our volunteers, which
Yeah.
is all of our choirs are St. Mark people, which is really wonderful.
You mentioned, just as kind of a good segue from that the ensemble does contemporary music. Kind of explain to everyone the difference between liturgical music and maybe the K-Love music they hear on the radio. Like, why don't we sing these songs in church and so forth?
Yeah, well, I try to incorporate all contemporary and traditional, but it's hard to describe the difference of them really, because they're all related. They all have to embrace the sacred mystery. So, but a contemporary song is more of a contemporary style. We'll call a song contemporary, and it was
Right.
written in 1988. It's a different style of song. It does have a little bit more of either a country or a rock and roll feel to it. It often involves like a shorter refrain that people easily can sing
Right.
along, and that's a contemporary style. And we, like I say, I try to do both in our masses. Traditional style is more the traditional hymn, like you might think of "Holy, Holy, Holy," or "Holy God, we praise Thy name," or
Right.
which are beautiful songs. And but what I try to do is to do those songs, but then soften the arrangement a little bit so that it pleases those who love contemporary music,
Sure.
but also it embraces the traditional music
Right.
of our church.
Yeah.
We don't want to forget all that either.
No, absolutely.
So-
And then I remember as a principal, Mrs. Bruner, I would say we need to play some of those sing-out songs that the kids really
Yeah.
like to sing, and a lot of those are the ones that have the shorter remembrance of words, and they can really belt it out.
It has a little shorter response, but it's very energetic and
Yeah.
fun to sing.
Yeah.
And
So tell me. Go ahead.
like at Mass, we'll do a song like "Here I Am to Worship," which
Mm-hmm.
is very much a contemporary style song. Even if you've never sung it before,
Yeah.
you'll know it the second time
Yeah.
you hear the refrain. They're very easy and fun to sing.
Yeah.
So I try to incorporate something like that as an entrance or a closing hymn.
Yeah. And it's really nice you do a fantastic job of bringing in musicians, people who play the cello and the violin and the flute. And tell a little bit of how do you develop those relations? How do you bring those people into to music?
Well, a lot of it goes back to I went to University of Indianapolis for college. I have a degree in business, and then I also had a degree in music. And I finally, later in life, I'm using that degree.
Mm-hmm.
But I had connections with the universities, so I start with the universities, like with Butler or UIndy, because it's really nice to get these young musicians, and we can give them a little bit of compensation
Sure.
for playing, because they studied it for 4 years, they're professional. And it works out really well. They're energetic and excited.
Yeah.
Grace, who plays cello for us, has now played for St. Mark for over 10 years.
Wow.
And she's first call if I needed cellists, and she enjoys it, brings her family. She has now become part of the St. Mark
Sure.
family, and I love those kind of connections.
Right.
Not just hiring somebody.
Right.
And then we had a violinist, Sarah Page, who was from Bargersville, and I got a call from University of Indianapolis. They said, if you need a violinist, this girl is a prodigy, and she was, but as sweet as can be. And she is now not even 30 years old and is with the Nashville Symphony Orchestra.
Wow.
So I lost
So you
her.
must have taught her right.
I lost her. But she was so good. I knew there were
Yeah.
great things ahead, and that's a very competitive field
Yeah.
to be a violinist
Yeah,
in a
absolutely.
major orchestra.
Yeah, and then I know that a lot of the people, sometimes I'll get people that are visitors to our church, and they'll say, "Wow, is your music always this good?"
Well,
I'll say, "Yeah, it is." I mean, and I just think that what you've been here. I've been here 14 years. You probably have only 15.
15.
15.
Yeah,
You're a year,
2007.
yeah, year before or so I was here, and we've seen the music ministry develop and grow, not just in numbers but in diversity and in different people coming in, and sometimes they come just for the music, like sometimes they'll come for, the priest or come to the building or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just think that, we're very, grateful for you, for what you do, because it's a kind of like being a principal, sometimes a thankless job.
I can't imagine.
But I know that you love what you do, because I can tell, because of the energy that you put into it. I get a chance to, work with you fairly closely sometimes on the sound and on the video and different things. Do you ever go back and watch the video of the Mass and see how your singers did?
Almost every Sunday.
Is that right?
Yeah, almost every Sunday.
Sometimes I don't get enough close-ups of them, do I?
Yeah, it's more to help me
Sure.
hear how, are we getting the words out? Are we,
Yeah.
But one of the things you touched on, people coming in from other parishes. One of the best compliments I had, and I won't say their name, but they're part of the music ministry of one of our neighboring parishes, and he came to 11:45 Mass, and he plays guitar for him, and he goes, how do you get them to sing like this? He goes, do they sing like this all the time? And I was like, I guess so, it's just I just...
You take it for granted.
I'm not going to please everybody with the music that we do here. I'm sure there's people who want more contemporary style music. When I introduced a Mass by Ed Bolduc, which is called Mass of St. Anne, it's a very contemporary Mass. It's only about 10 years old. And it's, it was originally written with drums and everything, and it's very high energy. And I had a lot of pushback from some parishioners on it. And I said, but the kids love it.
Yeah.
And they were like, but we don't. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. We'll do another Mass later,
You need a big plaque on your new office that says, I can't please everybody, so.
You can't, but but you go into it knowing that. You can't possibly, you've got, when they start singing at age, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to, 88, 89 years old,
Sure.
you're not going to please them all. So all I can do is to more focus on the liturgy, that the music ministry is only to enhance the liturgy.
Right.
It's not to distract. It's wonderful that everybody likes our choirs.
Right. It's not the show.
But
The altar's the show.
It's the opposite. If it is a show, then I'm not doing my job.
Sure.
When the choir sings the song and it sounds wonderful, but if you listen to the words, it's 9 out of 10 times right from the gospel for that
Absolutely,
day.
yeah.
It's the message. When Jesus talks about the upcoming death and resurrection, we'll sing a song like "I Will Rise,"
Right.
or we'll sing a traditional song like "We Shall Rise Again" on the last day. So,
And obviously, like the Book of Psalms, a lot of our songs come, from the different books in the Bible itself, word for word.
Yeah, I got 150 of them to choose from. There's 150.
So tell me about the preparation, and probably your largest production, I think, of the year is your Christmas program. And it has been, of all our YouTube videos, I guarantee you go back and look at they're always the most watched. Our videos. So tell me a little bit about the preparation, how early you start, what goes into that?
I used to start earlier, but what it is, it's basically, I started the Christmas concert around 2010, I think was the earliest one, 2010 or 11, and it was to incorporate all of our musicians in one concert, and what better celebration than Christmas. And it's actually during Advent, so we call it the Holy Season concert, but it's really a Christmas concert because we do Advent and Christmas songs. But we have all of our choirs. We have the bell choir, the children's choir. Every once in a while, if I have energetic high school kids, I'll have a high school youth choir. But right now, I have high school kids singing in our adult choir because I don't have enough, which is great. But it's a way to incorporate all of them. It's always the Sunday before Christmas, unless that Sunday is the 23rd and it's too close. But I use that date all the time, and God love our neighboring parishes respect that, because we were one of the first ones to do something like this. So they call me and say, "When's your concert?" They don't have their concert.
They don't want Thursday to be empty because they're all at ours.
Well, and also I find out later they're borrowing our musicians, because they hear our concert. We have such wonderful horn players and string players here. But as far as preparation, I start usually in October, and
so about now.
Yeah, but
Close to it.
I was going to start at last night's rehearsal, but we're working on a piece for the Feast of All Souls.
Okay.
And it's Mozart's Requiem Mass, which is very, very difficult. And the choir just did so well with it last night. It's not their favorite piece for a lot of them, and then other people it's the most wonderful.
Wow.
Like we talked about contemporary, you know, not everybody likes everything, so God love them, they're working at it. But so we will start next Thursday, you know, but the beauty of our Christmas now is that we've had so many concerts. I can pull music from 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
And then use that in the concert. I'm not reteaching it every single year.
And plus,
so
you're not hearing the same thing every year.
I tried not.
You know, you hear, if you come the last 15 years in a row, you've probably heard all the songs.
Yeah.
But you do a great job of mixing, because I've came to, you know, the last 13.
Yeah.
And it's always sounds like it's there's some similarities which you want, but there's
Right.
always some
Yeah,
differences
you
in there.
can't not do a Holy Night. You know, you've got to do Silent Night.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but other than that, I get free reign. If I try to do 2 new pieces, and it is a time that we can add more contemporary styles. So one of the new pieces that we're doing this year is going to feature our children's choir. They
Awesome.
don't know it yet.
Good.
But Mrs. Brenner
Does
is
Miss Brenner know
really
it?
excited about it. It's very high energy. You know, it's not really something you'd hear at Sunday Mass, but it's, you know,
Good.
it is a great Advent song, and the kids will be great.
Good.
Whether they know it or not, they're going to love it. So.
As a youngster growing up and a musician, I'm sure you're a musician at an early age. Who was influential, maybe a professional musician or somebody you knew personally in your life to kind of guide you to this path?
Yeah, I think for most of us Southside Catholics know that are my age know Jerry Craney. God rest his soul. He died about 10 years ago now. I forget, but he was a music director at Holy Name in Beech Grove, and he was like something you make a movie out of. I mean, every kid played a musical instrument.
Wow.
I mean, if you weren't in the choir, it's because you got in trouble. You know, I have a brother who's a fabulous athlete, played the baritone. I mean, everybody played, you know,
Sure.
he was starting pitcher, starting power forward, and starting quarterback when he was in high school. But when he was at Holy Name, he played an instrument.
Wow.
He learned to read music.
Wow.
And we'll never lose that, you know. My sister played the trumpet. My mom didn't even realize that she played the trumpet. She forgot, you know. But for 4 years of her life, she played the trumpet and could pick one up right now and play it, you know. So Jerry brought music to like many people.
Do you see yourself when you're teaching music having any of his either mannerisms or any of his skill sets?
I don't know, because I think he was so above and beyond what I could do.
Sure.
Truly, I'm not just being modest. I mean, he was just. I mean, the front of the piano was worn out from the tips of his fingers, hitting it so hard.
Wow.
When I was in the 5th grade, there were 76 kids in the school band. You know, it was in that one school, and then
That's more than a lot of high schools.
Then it was 74 the next year, and 75 the next year, and then I was in 8th grade, 1976, showing my age. It was 76 and 76.
Wow.
You know, it was 8 trombones and 13 trumpets and clarinets and flutes, and you know, looking back on it, I know it sounded wonderful, but it probably didn't. But to us, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
so most of us kids that play instruments went on to Roncalli, and Roncalli had a fantastic band. But I think that somebody like Jerry Craney was also the music teacher in the school, and he was. So he taught all week and then did all the masses on Sunday. And that's what I mean. It's like, I can't touch that kind of dedication.
Yeah.
I mean, he was, I think he never married, but Haydn never married. You know, they were church musicians.
Right.
Jerry Craney was a very religious man. And he dedicated his entire life to
Married
music.
to his music, yeah.
He was. And he had fabulous friends and family he was close with. And he and I got to be really good friends, and I am later on when he had trouble, I would be there. He had a Christmas concert. He really started that tradition. They had 50 years of them, and when he had a stroke, I directed the choir for his concert. And,
That's awesome.
then he recovered and was better for about 5 years, and then was sick again, and I helped him out his last year, but. You know, it was big shoes to step up on that.
Absolutely.
You know, we talk about our choir is big. We have 40 to 45 at the most. His Christmas concert, there were 136 people, all from Holy Name Parish.
Would have to
And
put
there's
him out
20
there in the
20 in the
pews.
orchestra, and he hired strings, but all the other instruments are Holy Name.
Wow, that's
You know,
awesome.
So, you know, he had that had that charisma and that,
Sure.
you know, that incredible dedication to the church and to music.
We always end with a couple fun questions, so I'll ask you, favorite band of the two, Rolling Stones or Beatles?
Beatles.
Beatles, you and Father. I like
Oh.
that. What's one of your favorite bands all time?
Beatles.
The Beatles?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously. And you're obviously, most people know this, you and some of your friends have had a band for several years, you're third generation.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, you know, you'll retire and you'll come back, you'll retire and you'll come back. Now you're back, I think.
Well, we retired, and now we just come back to do a few gigs a year. But
Right.
at the time, we retired in 2013. We were a wedding reception band. It's a 7-piece band with horns, but we were playing 40 gigs a year.
Wow.
And I was doing mass here, and we were getting older, and finally we decided at 2013, let's stop. So now we just do about 10 a
Sure.
year, and they're just like our, you know, festivals and weddings for friends.
Yeah, well, I know the people in the South Side love when you play our festival and other festivals. And,
Yeah, we kind of become St. Mark's
yeah,
band
Or-
as long
yeah.
as they'll have us. So
yeah,
you know, and all the musicians that you'll see at our Christmas concert
right.
are from third generation band. They all volunteer their
Yeah.
time.
And some of them are St. Mark parishioners as well, I think, aren't
Yeah,
there? A few of them.
Dan Deek is a member of the parish, and
Yeah,
Craig Dollar from third generation plays in our brass choir.
Right.
You know, and all of which are Holy Name grads. Everyone in third
Awesome.
generation.
Well,
all
it's
Jerry Craney kids.
yeah, it's great that you bring such a passion to your music, and I know my wife and my daughters have had the good fortune of being in your choir, and I've had a really good fortune of seeing, you know, every Sunday sitting over on the side and being able to listen to them. I can't always see them because that big pole's in the way, but I just admire the seriousness that you take, and because you're a coach up there. You know, I've coached for years, and you've had good coaches in your life, and you really have a structure, and your practices are planned, and I think it shows in the outcomes. We really appreciate everything you do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Well, we have enjoyed talking with Andy Eagan. Now, let me ask you a question. My wife always gives me trouble about this because I call you Andy. Andy, Andrew, or Drew?
Whatever you want.
Ah, see there? I was right.
Drew's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So Drew Eagan, we are here with, Director of Music Ministries. We look forward to having him on maybe later. Maybe when we get this build a little bit further along.
Sure.
We can talk about your new office that you're going to have.
Yeah.
Because right now, where are you? Where's your office?
I'm in the basement. Yeah. As long as the steam pipe doesn't burst, I'll be fine.
Yeah, excellent. Well, we appreciate your time. Okay.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you guys next time. We hope you have a great week. God bless you, everybody. Peace.